Hello, friends. Welcome back again. So, in the previous sessions, we have learned about all the parts of speeches, rather, very important parts of speeches, their functions, and their importance. Later on, we learned about the subject verb agreement as well as the preposition agreement. So, now going forward, we will understand about the tenses and aspects, right? So here in this part we will be talking only about the very important tenses and the aspects that are required from the point of view of not only the examination but also from the point of view of speaking a very good English and also understanding the standard language of English. Yes, my dear friends, as all of us know that tense in English means time, right? You might recollect a saying here that I had expressed in my couple of sessions before this, that one word, many meaning, and one meaning, many words. So, in the same way, here, tense, when it is used in the English language as a tense, it refers to time. That means it acts as a noun over here. It acts as a noun. Otherwise, the same word is also used as a verb in the regular English. When we speak English, the word same tense is used as a verb, tense, tensed, tension, this way. So, in any language, a sentence is written or spoken with concern to a time at which instance an action is stated to be taking place or being described. Based on this state of the time, the tense is classified into three major categories. They are the present tense, past tense, and the future tense. So, if we have to give a brief definition about these three tenses, the present tense means the action that is being taking place right now. Present tense means the action that is happening or taking place right now at the moment. That is the present tense. Then the past tense. Past tense is the one in which the state of the action has already happened, where the action has already taken place and the action is totally completed. The action is totally completed. That is the past tense. My dear friends, the third tense, future tense, is all about the action that is yet to happen or is presumed to happen in the future or is presumed to happen in the coming times, right? So a future tense is always an illusion or a presumption. It is a hope. It's a light of ray of hope that every one of us have, and we make the tenses in future tense and speak, right? So we can clearly understand by this that the first two tenses, that is the present tense and the past tense, are the ones where the action is totally confirmed. I repeat it again. In both the present tense as well as the past tense, we can understand that the action is totally confirmed, right? But wherein the future tense, we presume it to happen or it is going to happen. It is a faith or it is a ray of hope that every one of us have that this action is going to happen in the coming time. That's what the future tense is. Also, we can say that the future tense is the extended form of the present tense. Whatever you want to do now, you want to extend it or you want to postpone it to the coming time. So that is what the future tense is. Then let us understand the aspects part of it, right? So in English, there are four aspects. These aspects determine whether an action is ongoing or already happened or yet to happen, right? So in English, as I told you, there are four aspects. The first aspect is the simple tense, simple. The second one is the continuous. Third is the perfect. And the fourth one is perfect continuous. Right? So, all in all, four aspects are applied into three tenses. Each of these four aspects is applicable to each of the three tenses. So, overall, if we see, we make sentences or we frame sentences or we structure sentences in total 12 aspects. That is simple present, present continuous, present perfect, present perfect continuous. These are the four aspects of present tense. Then comes to the past tense, simple past, past continuous, past perfect, and past perfect continuous. These four aspects in the past tense. Finally, in the future tense, the same thing continues. Simple future, future continuous, future perfect, and future perfect continuous. So, in this way, all these four aspects are applied to each of the three tenses and thus makes a total of 12 aspects in English. Now, let us understand what is simple present tense. When we apply all these four aspects into each three tenses, how we can frame the sentences, how they make the differences, and how easy it is to speak. If we understand these tenses and aspects clearly, so we will also learn about the easy formula that can be remembered to frame a sentence in each of these aspects. To start with, first and foremost thing is the simple present tense. My dear friends, before I take you to this tenses and aspects, I would like to give you a small clue or tip over here, right? That makes you to be more comfortable while dealing with the language English. In any language for that matter, not only in English, but I am talking only about English as this is the English verbal ability class. Most of the sentences that are spoken or read or written or even listened to, right? Only these are the four skills in any language, that is reading, writing, speaking, and listening. So to frame a sentence or to structure a sentence, 80% of these sentences are framed in the past tense. 80% of these sentences are framed in past tense, 10 to 15% in present tense, and 5 to 10% in future tense. So, my dear friends, why I wanted to tell all of you this thing is that you will have to concentrate more and practice more on the past tense. You should understand the aspects of the past tense so that whenever you frame a sentence, it will be easy for you to understand and find the errors in the sentence when you are appearing for an exam. So, to understand the tenses, one will have to understand the part of speech verb. The part of speech verb very clearly. That is the reason I have explained about the verb in so detail, about the types of verb, kinds of verb, and forms of verb. If you understand these three parts of a verb, that is, whether the verb that is being used is an auxiliary verb or a supportive verb or a supplementary verb, or it is also known as as we go to the higher standard, it is also known as an agreement verb. Which or is it a modal verb or is it an action verb? When we understand these three things, the types of verbs, it is very easy for us to frame the sentences while we speak or write, and also to understand when we read or listen. Right? So, verb plays a very vital role. The reason being, both the modal verbs as well as the auxiliary verbs support the action verb. They are the ones which makes the agreement or which bridges the relationship between the subject, that is the doer, and the verb, that is the action. So, my dear friends, it's always better you understand the part of speech verb very clearly so that you will understand the tense and its aspects easily. Okay? So, yeah, simple present tense tells us about an action or actions being carried out at the instance. A simple present tense tells us about the action or might be actions that are being carried out at the right time or the present time or the instance. So, to frame a sentence in this aspect, that means in the simple present tense aspect, no auxiliary verbs are used. It will be in a very pure subject verb object format. It will be in a very pure subject verb object format. However, there might be additions of adjectives or prepositions in the sentence. What I mean to say here is that there is no additional Either auxiliary verbs or modal verbs are used to frame a sentence in the simple present tense or even in simple past tense as well. So the formula for this is very simple. It will be in the SVO format. That is subject, either it can be a noun or a pronoun, plus the verb, that is the action verb, not any auxiliary or modal verbs. The action verb, which will be in the V1 form, which will be in the V1 form, plus the object, again, it can be a noun or even a pronoun. So when we look at this few examples, like I go to market, we read English daily, right? You write letter to your parents. He walks in the park. She sings in the morning, right? So when we see these examples, my dear friends, you see, I go to market. Here, I is the subject, that is the first person singular pronoun. This is I is the first person singular pronoun. Go is the action verb and market is the object. So when we talk about this, as I told you, however, it can be added with prepositions and adjectives. So to is a preposition here that is being added, that is to link the subject with the object. Subject with the object. So this is to is a preposition here. I go to market. You can see no other auxiliary verbs or any modal verbs or any sort of other verbs here other than one action verb. Here, when we see, we read English daily. We read English daily. When we see this example, we see here is that we is the plural of first person pronoun. Read is the action verb. English is the subject. Whereas daily, it is a time frame. If you want, you can add it. Otherwise, you can just ignore it, saying we read English. That's it. Subject, verb, object. We read English. You write letter to your parents. You write letter to your parents. Again, to your parents is an extended part of this sentence to give more clarity to the sentence. Right? You is the subject, which is again a second person pronoun. Write is a verb here, that is the action verb. Letter is a subject. To your parents is an added part of the sentence. That means you subject, write letter to your parents becomes the predicate. So to frame a sentence, the another important thing that we have to understand is that a sentence always contains of these two parts. The first one is the subject, the second part is known as the predicate. The subject is always a noun or a pronoun. That is, whether it can be I, we, you, he, she, it, they, whatever it may be, or Ram, Sham, whatever it may be. If subject is always a noun or a pronoun, then the rest of the part from the verb where the action is being described and how it is being described or where it is being taken place, that part becomes the predicate of the sentence. So here you is the subject. Write letter to your parents becomes the predicate part of it. Right? In the same way, he walks in the park. She sings in the morning. Again, morning is a timing, time frame. What is being mentioned here is the time frame. Even if you write here, when this morning time frame is being shown, it acts as a subject here. It acts as a subject here, which is connected with the preposition in. She is connected to object, that is the time frame, that is morning, with a preposition in. Right? Now, let us go further to the next aspect of the present tense. The next aspect of the present tense is about the present continuous tense. My dear friends, continuous means where the action has started but not completed. It is still going on. It is in the process. The action has started but not completed. It is in the ongoing process. That is the meaning of continuous. So when we say it is present continuous, that means this tense or this aspect, that is the continuous aspect in the present tense, tells about an action or the actions that are being carried out, that are being carried out, or that are being still going on at that particular instance, at that particular instance. Right? That means when a person is talking in the present continuous tense, that means during that state of time, the action has already started and it is still going on and not completed yet. So, to frame a sentence in the continuous tense aspect, the auxiliary verbs, the auxiliary verbs are used. What are those auxiliary verbs? Auxiliary verbs means is and am. Is and am are used for framing the sentences for singular subject. For singular subject. If the subject is in singular, whether it can be a singular pronoun or a singular noun, the auxiliary verb that should be used is either is or it can be am. Or am is used only for the first person singular. Okay, first person singular, am is used. For third person singular, is used. And if the subject, if the subject is in the second person, if the subject is the second person, remember my dear friends, I told you second person is always addressed in plural. Second person is always addressed in plural. If the subject is a second person or first person plural or even third person plural or even plural nouns or even plural nouns or the combination of singular nouns, then the auxiliary verb that should be used for framing a present continuous tense is the word are, A-R-E, are. Again, it will also be in the same format. that is the subject verb object format, SVO format. Only the difference is that there is an auxiliary verb added between the subject and the verb. Verb here means the action verb. An auxiliary verb is added between the subject and the action verb to bring in the subject verb agreement. That's why I said when we get into the higher level of English, the same auxiliary verb is also expressed as the agreement verb. Now, let us understand how the formula is to be made for framing a sentence in simple present, present continuous tense. In present continuous tense, the formula would be like subject, that is a noun or a pronoun, plus an auxiliary verb. Auxiliary verb, if it is singular, is or am, and if the subject is plural, then it is are, A-R-E, are, plus the verb, that is the action verb in the fourth form. The action verb should be in the fourth form, that is the V4 form or ing form, or even known as ing form. For any continuous tense, whether it is present continuous, past continuous, future continuous, present perfect continuous, past perfect continuous, or even future perfect continuous, for all these 6 aspects, verb will be in the ing form, that is the V4 form or the fourth form or the ing form. This is another aspect that one has to keep in mind and never forget. So the verb, that is the action verb, will be in the ing form or the V4 form, plus the object, that can be either noun or pronoun. However, the adjectives and prepositions can be added as per the circumstances, as it agrees with the sentence. As I told you, the preposition agreement already, we had to keep that also in mind while framing the sentences. So here, whenever we are framing a sentence, 2 things that we have to keep in mind is the agreements, that is the verb agreement, then the next thing is the preposition agreement. So let us see a few examples. So in the examples, I am going to market. I am going to market. I is the subject again, first person singular. Am is the auxiliary verb that is being used. Am is the auxiliary verb, and the verb, that is action verb, is in the ing form, that is go, has become going. My dear friends, whenever there is the usage of any auxiliary verb just before the action verb, another tip for you to easily remember, if an auxiliary verb is used just before an action verb, then the action verb will always be in the V4 form or the ing form in English. So simple if you keep these tips in mind. Okay, friends. So I am going to market. The same thing, because the subject is a first person singular, am is being used. If the subject is first person plural, it becomes we are reading English daily, right? Because the subject here is we, that is the first person plural, hence the auxiliary verb are is used here. Read has become reading, rest all remains the same. You are writing letter to your parents. He is walking in the park. She is playing in the university team. This is how the present continuous tenses are made. So, most of us should understand this subject verb agreement and the pronoun agreement. Pronoun agreement. Again, I remind you, pronoun agreement is that the pronoun that is being used, it should agree with the subject or the verb as the case may be. Sorry, subject or the object as the case may be. Now, the third aspect of the present tense. The third aspect of the present tense is the perfect tense. That is the present perfect tense. Yep, perfect means what? Where the action is just completed, not long ago. Just understand this concept here. Where the action is totally completed. We say perfect only when a thing is totally done or completely done. Only then we said, yeah, it is perfect. So in the same way, a perfect tense means where the action is totally completed just a few instances before, just a few while ago, which is just completed. Not long while ago, not very long back. If it is long back, then it becomes past tense. So here, whenever we talk about the perfect tense, we should also give importance to the time factor. So a perfect tense tells about an action or the actions that are being just completed at that instance. The instance when a person is talking about, just before talking about the instance, just before talking about the thing, the action has been completed. The action is totally completed. Right? In this aspect, when we make the sentences or when we frame the sentences or when we structure the sentence in the perfect aspect, that is present perfect aspect, two things one has to keep in mind. Two things one has to keep in mind. The first thing is that here the auxiliary verb or the supplementary verbs, that is have and has, either have or has is used as an agreement verb. Have or has is used as an agreement verb. That is the first point one has to remember. The second point that one has to remember while framing a sentence in the present perfect tense, we should understand that has is used only with the subject, which is either a third person singular, which is either a third person singular, that is he, she, or it, or if the subject is a singular independent noun, or the subject is a singular independent noun. Singular independent noun means, again I am repeating, it is a noun which is singular, but it can be a noun, a common noun, or a material noun. Anything it can be. The boy, the guy, the dog, the cat, the students, the teacher, principal, policeman, doctor, engineer, when that is known as a singular independent noun. They are independent, but it should be in the singular form. If the subject is in a singular form, that is either the noun or the pronoun. That is third person singular, not first person. That is why I am telling you, if the subject is a third person singular, again I am repeating this, then have is not at all used. Has is used to frame the sentence in present perfect tense. Right, my dear friends? Again, the format will be the same, that is the subject verb object format, but the formula becomes a bit lengthy here. The formula for this becomes a bit lengthy here. So the formula will be, that is the subject, it can be a noun or a pronoun. A subject, that is a noun or even a pronoun. Just you have to be attentive whether the subject is singular or plural, whether it is third person singular or third person plural, or whether it is a first person or second person, or even if it is a singular or a plural independent noun. So, subject plus the auxiliary verb or the supplementary verb have or has. Have or has. Plus the action verb. Plus the action verb in V3 form. The action verb in V3 form. As I have already told you while explaining you about the forms of verb, I told you V3 form is used to frame sentences in all the perfect tenses. Whether it is present perfect, past perfect, or future perfect, the action verb will always be in the V3 form. That is participle form. Plus the object, that is either noun or pronoun. That is noun or pronoun. However, the additions of adjectives and prepositions can be there in the sentence. So, to understand the present perfect tense with few examples, the thing is that we will go this way. I have reached the market. You see, I have reached the market. So, you see, I is a first person singular. The subject here is I, which is first person singular. Hence, the auxiliary verb or the supplementary verb that is used is have. This is the agreement verb as well. The verb, that is the action verb reach, it is in the third form, that is V3 form, reached. This is where most of us get confused between the present tense and the past tense. This is what I wanted all of you to understand very clearly. Don't simply judge the tense of a sentence with reading the action verb. This is where you have to understand or you have to remember whether the verb, that is the action verb used, is a regular verb or an irregular verb. Reach is a regular verb. So the three forms of this verb becomes as reach, reached, reached. So here reached is in the third form. That is V3 form. You see the formula, verb in V3 form. So here the reached is in V3 form. Plus the object market. I have reached. You can or you have to identify the tense of the sentence by looking at the agreement verb. By looking at the agreement verb. Here the agreement verb is have. Hence, this sentence is in present tense. Hence, this sentence is in present tense. To understand this, you have to understand the formula very clearly. That is, subject plus auxiliary verb plus action verb plus object, which is the auxiliary verb that is used, that is the agreement verb, and which is the form of the action verb. Then, if the subject is plural again, whether it is first person or second person, again the have is the supplementary verb that needs to be used. That means we have practiced English daily. You see the next example. You have written letter to your parents. You have written. So here it is an irregular word. Write, wrote, return. The third form of the verb write has become return. Here it is an irregular verb because, sorry, all the three forms of the verb are spelt differently. Write as becomes the wrote and the wrote becomes written. So you have written a letter to your parents. If the subject part, next part I'm taking you here, if the subject is a third person singular or plural, then what happens? If the subject is third person singular, whether it is he, she, or it, instead of have, instead of using the supplementary verb have, we use the supplementary verb has. Only in present perfect tense, my dear friends. Again, only in present perfect tense we use has. He has walked in the park. He has walked in the park. She has sung in the morning. You see, walk is a regular verb. Walk, walk, walk. Whereas sing is an irregular verb. Sing, sang, sung. Sing, sang, sung. If again, if the subject, instead of he or she, if you put some independent singular noun, the same means Ramesh, Karthik, Shreya, anything you put, it remains the same. Shreya has walked in the park. Kamali has sung in the morning. The dog has barked at the stranger. The cat has drunken the milk. The cat has drunk the milk. In the same way, if the subject is third person plural, then again, instead of has, we use have. They have played cricket every evening. They have played cricket again. Play is a regular verb. Play, played, played. They have played cricket every evening. Hope, my dear friends, you are able to understand the tenses clearly here. Once you understand these tenses, it will be quite easy for you to frame the sentences and also identify the type of the sentence or the tense of the sentence clearly. Why I am telling you these things is, as I told you, in English, 10 to 15% of present tense is used. So in that 15%, or with that 10 to 15%, we tend to use the present perfect tense very often. In that 10 to 15%, one tends to use these aspects, that is the present perfect tense, very often. And this is where most of us go wrong in understanding the sentence and identifying the tense of the sentence. Right, friends? Now, let us get into the fourth aspect or the last aspect of the present tense. That is the perfect continuous aspect in the present tense. That is present perfect continuous tense. As I told you earlier, continuous means where the action has already sorry, where the action has already started but not completed. That means the action is still under process or still in the progress. Sir, before this I told perfect tense means the action which is just completed, right? So continuous means action that is not completed. How can this be a perfect continuous also? That is the question that arises in one's mind. Because perfect means it should be completed, continuous means it should not be completed. It should be in progress. So a perfect continuous tense means it tells us about an action that is being carried out in parts or in stages. An action that is being done or that is being carried out in different stages, and which action would be for a long duration. This action would be for a long duration. These actions would not be for a very short duration. I walked in the park, right? But if it is for a long duration or that happens stage wise or which has a break in between after starting to completion, if it has a break in between and then again it gets continued, right? So that becomes a perfect continuous tense. Means till where the action is already been carried out or already completed, just before getting it restarted, that becomes the perfect part. Once it starts again, it becomes the continuous part. So this is how a perfect continuous tense is being understood. That means the perfect continuous tense, that means a present perfect continuous tense, tells about an action or the actions that are being carried out in two instances or in a longer instance, that is one is just completed and the other which is still ongoing. So as I told you, this aspect is used when there is an action that is ongoing for a very long time, for a long duration. Here again, what happens is we use, because it is a perfect tense, we use the auxiliary verbs have or has, as the case may be, as I explained while telling you about the perfect tense, whether it is have or has, depending on the subject, that is third person singular or an independent singular noun or a pronoun, or it is plural, or it is a first person or second person, singular or plural. Have or has is used in conjunction with, have or has in conjunction with, that means in addition to or in collaboration with the be verb, with the be verb being, the be verb being. And as usual, the action verb will be in V4 form, that is continuous form or the ing form or ing form. The action verb will be in continuous form plus the object. However, the preposition and the adjectives can be added as per the need of the situation. So the formula for this would be like subject, that is a noun or pronoun, attention to be given to understand about the subject, whether it is a third person singular or a singular independent noun, or third person plural or a plural independent noun, or whether it is a first or second person, irrespective of singular or plural. Plus the auxiliary verb have or has, plus the auxiliary verb have or has, sorry my dear friends, have or has plus the be verb. Be verb is been, B-double-E-N, been, plus verb, that is the action verb in V4 form or the ing form, plus the object, that is can be either noun or a pronoun. In addition to all these things, there is one more thing, that is the time frame. That is the time frame. So here what happens is, when we frame the sentence framing would be like SVOPT. It is called as SVOPT. That means subject, verb, object, place, time. Place, time. So always, whenever we frame a sentence, we should keep it in mind that the place and time should not be added in the beginning of the sentence. That means a sentence should not commence with the place or the time. Instead, they should be used always at the end of the sentence. So, the examples: I have been doing marketing for the last 6 years. You see, I is a singular first person pronoun. Have is a supplementary verb. In addition to been, I have been. So verb will become, do becomes doing. I have been doing marketing. Here, my dear friends, marketing is not a verb. Again, go back and understand, certain words play different meaning and different roles depending on the circumstance or the situation. So here marketing is not a verb, instead it is an object. Now it is playing the role of a noun. Marketing has become a work, the profession of a person. It has become the profession of a person in this context of the sentence. I am going to do marketing for the function. There again, marketing. becomes the verb. Here, the marketing becomes the profession. I have been doing marketing for the last 6 years. That means my profession is in the marketing field. We have been reading English daily. We have been reading English daily. You have been writing letter to your parents almost every week and he has been walking in the park for nearly an hour now. So these are all the time frames. Last 6 years, it becomes the time frame. Daily time frame. Every weekend, it is an hour now. Nearly an hour now. She has been singing in the morning hours for almost a year now. Almost a year now becomes the time frame. Childhood, in the next sentence, they have been practicing cricket every evening since their childhood. So childhood is the time frame. So if you understand these aspects, it is quite easy to understand the framing of sentences very comfortably in English. So, my dear friends, hope today you have understood very clearly about the different types of tenses in English. Sorry, the aspects of English and also the present tense aspect of these tenses. So, in the present tense, we have covered all the four aspects. And now, before we get into the next tense, that is the past tense, in the next session, better we practice these four aspects at our own time to understand it more better. Thank you, my dear friends. Thank you.